Hey up my platoon, this is your captain speaking, and today we are going to watch, let me just say, Omni-Man's Redemption was way different in the comics by Euphoric. Let's give it a like, and guys, I loved Invincible. I believe you also loved Invincible because it's currently one of my most popular videos, so I'm going to give what my squad, my platoon wants. And if you want to suggest any other videos, just put it down on the comment section or on the Twitch stream that we are doing here. So yeah, poor chatters, they're seeing me do the same as exactly intro for a bunch of times. So yeah, let's do this.
Completely different from the comics. In
Why?
the show's mid-season finale, we get to see one of the most beautifully animated and emotionally impactful scenes of the entire series up to this point, commonly known as the Omni-Man drifting through space scene. But the very same scene happened in the comics, and while at a glance they could appear similar, they couldn't be more different. Before I get into the differences though, we gotta go back and look into the events that got us here. Omni-Man's story begins thousands of years ago.
Think, Mark, think!
When he was born on a planet called Viltrum. The people of this planet look identical to humans, but they couldn't be more dissimilar. You see, their society revolves completely around
there it is, conquest, my boy!
Power, meaning that if you showed weakness in any shape or form, you were basically just murdered on the spot. Because on Viltrum, the ability to continue living is no right, it's a privilege. So when he was born, he was given the name Nolan and nothing else. As he reached maturity, he had to become as powerful as possible just to continue living on. But for Nolan, that was all just normal, it's what he was born into. So he became a product of his surroundings, living thousands of years as a bloodthirsty conqueror until one day he was assigned the planet Earth. The timeline for this conquest, however, was not immediate, so he began gathering intel on the Earth's government by masquerading as the superhero Omni-Man. Eventually, he would even
because he got to Earth to save Earth!
Get married and have his first son, Mark. Unfortunately though, Mark was not born out of love but to serve a purpose. He was supposed to grow up and eventually get powers in order to assist his father in conquering the planet. But there was one thing
to grow the Viltrum Empire, because as we learn in the season 3 finale, there are only 50 Viltrumites left, pure-blooded Viltrumites left in the galaxy.
Nolan didn't take into account. Mark wasn't raised as a Viltrumite, he was raised as a human. So when the time would eventually come for Nolan to ask his son to join him in ruling the planet, Mark refused. This caused their fight at the end of season 1 where Omni-Man beat Mark to within an inch of his life.
It was such a crazy
over his
fight.
Son, he would try and convince him yet again about the Viltrumite ways, but their cultures were just too different. Mark would never join him. This realization would shatter Nolan, causing him emotional turmoil that he's just never felt before. He's scared, anxious, upset, angry, and he just doesn't know what to do, so he flies away. In both the show,
because he thought that his son would just inherently have the same morals and life expectancies, desires as him. It's a pretty common mistake for families that just project their way of thinking onto their sons or daughters. But you need to teach those things to your children. You can't just assume they know what you know. Yeah, this is a basic human interaction, but he's a Viltrumite. He doesn't know that.
And the comics, we see him crying as he leaves the Earth's orbit, knowing that he's failed not only as a father, but as a Viltrumite too. This right here is the point where the show starts to really diverge from the comics. The show follows Omni-Man as he drifts aimlessly through the vastness of space, eventually landing on a desolate world where he ponders his life and decisions. He doesn't say a single word, allowing us, the audience, to wonder what's going on in his head. Then it cuts to him just levitating in front of a black hole, staring at it, wondering if he should just let its gravity pull him in. Eventually, he decides that he's gonna do it. He's gonna let the black hole take him. He begins falling into its gravity, but before entering the event horizon, the point of no return, he sees a Thraxan ship falling into the black hole too. It goes against everything he's ever been taught, but just out of the goodness of his heart, he decides to save them, taking them back to their homeworld, asking literally nothing in return. Without saying a word, he begins to leave, probably towards that black hole again, but they ask him to stay. By some crazy chance, even when he thought there was no way it was possible, he found a world that still wants him. So he stays, and is eventually elected to become the ruler of their entire planet due to his age. What makes this scene so beautiful is how it allows us to really see into Omni-Man's heart. We see his confusion and pain, but not only that, we get to experience his sadness and also his regret.
Yeah, it's such a great scene. I love when movies just let you absorb what the characters are feeling, because that's one of the greatest things in media that you can see, because you can tell stories without saying a word. It's not like a book that I need to tell the viewer what the character is thinking all the time, because that's the media of the book. But in a series, you can just shut up and let the viewer feel what the character is feeling.
We get to see these all new human emotions and that they're real. They're tearing him apart. But most of all, we get to see that Nolan is a changed man. So what was so different in the comics? Well, this scene begins the same way, with him speeding away from the Earth, confused about his emotions. However, instead of just seeing him drift through space, we actually get to read into what he's thinking. The first thing he admits is that his time on Earth changed him.
Yeah, like I said, it's just like a book in a comic. I know that you can do emotional scenes. We saw this on anime. Vagabond, actually, manga. The Vagabond manga, there are great segments without anybody saying a single word, and you just have a panel, and you just stay in the panel, and you just absorb what the character is feeling.
Something that he is not happy about. He doesn't want to feel these emotions. They stand against everything that he has ever known. Yes, there is tears in his eyes, but he's angry, thinking that Mark was weak and that he deserved to die. As he continues barreling through space, we don't get any beautiful sights to see, no galaxies, no stars, just nothing. Eventually, he arrives on that desolate world, but instead of just saying nothing, we get to hear what he thinks. And it's not really about emotions or anything like that anymore. He's just thinking about the punishment that awaits for him on his home world. But here's where we get to see the major departure that the show took. There is no black hole scene. He doesn't think about ending his own life. He doesn't think about saving anyone. He just thinks about the next world to conquer. He's worried about the punishment that awaits for him, and he wants to do anything to lessen that. So
yeah, because he grew up in a society that failure equals death, and well, that's really strange that they change a bunch. But I love what Stephen New. No, it's not. I don't remember the name of the author of Invincible. But it's such a great thing that he's just improving the story. I believed Invincible in the comics. I read the comics a long time ago. I remember the comics had a problem. Oh, you have the scene that Omni-Man is killing the Guardians of the Globe, and you have the scene where Omni-Man is revealed to have killed the Guardians of the Globe. But the journey for point A to point B, it's so quick in the comics. It's so quick, and they don't develop anything. But in the show, the first season, there was a huge journey, and it was so great because of the journey. This DC, the Invincibles animated show, it's great because they develop each interaction and each thing to get to those cool moments. In the comics, where it was more like, oh, I have to do this to get here, to get here, to get here, to get here, to get here. Come on, we don't have time to waste. Go! Oh?
He thinks maybe if he conquers another planet, they won't execute him. And as luck would have it, he would find planet Thraxa. Luckily, he doesn't have to do any real conquering. They kind of just elect him Grand Emperor because of his age. But what's so important about this is this version of Omni-Man is no savior. At this point, he's still a selfish man hoping to make his life better at the expense of others. At this point in the show, Omni-Man actually seems like a changed man, but this version of the character just doesn't. At this point in the series,
as I'm seeing and remember the comics, he's the exactly same at this point in the comics.
The version of Omni-Man we get to see in the show is just way less conflicted than his comic counterpart. Sure, he's capable of slipping into old habits, but he does care about people. He wants to do good. Him allowing Mark to live wasn't just confusion, it was selflessness. He knew that he was going to be punished and did it anyways. But instead of feeling selfless, his comic counterpart feels more conflicted and selfish. He doesn't rise and become a hero, he just stays a conqueror, making him feel like a completely different character from the show. But what do you guys think? Am I just looking way too far into this, or am I onto something here? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there,
No, I think you're right. In the comics, he continues to be a conqueror. He changes eventually to the Nolan that we know in the Invincible show. He changes, but it's much later. I believe it's when he meets with Alan and they go in their buddy cop and cops traveling the galaxy, getting all this stuff that can kill Viltrumite stuff. But yeah, at this point, no, he's just a conqueror. So, well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and put in the comments, and bye bye. Platoon out. Captain out.